So, as Teresa mentioned, I will give a short overview of this whole series of elder career that we are starting today. Is it working? Yes. So, to start with, so this is where eLTER is in the global network of different research infrastructures, and I don't want to go into too much details here on this very complicated graphic, but it's important to notice that eLTER has links to most, if not all, the boxes on the left. So the whole range of ecological processes and different drivers of change. So we as eLTER are a very broad project with need for a wide range of expertise in order to work and progress well in the future. Uh, and this applies to both now as we are here as a project and in the future when we will become an ERIC. So for those of you who don't know, the ERIC is the legal entity of European Research Infrastructure Consortium. So this is a specific legal form that facilitates the establishment and the operation of research infrastructure with European interest. So this simple graphic represents the basic structure of the research infrastructure in general, not only eLTER, but on eLTER example. So first we have central services, including head office and topic centers. And I will go through all of them in some details. On the right, we have national research infrastructure, which actually produce and deliver all the data. And then it all goes through the eLTER service portal, where a range of services is delivered to end users. So for research infrastructure professionals working at the interface of technical side and platform operation, research and management, there is a typically no clear job profile or career path. So what we try to discuss today and within this series is that being involved in the research infrastructure is very valuable for researchers, and it can facilitate career. It can help us getting involved in more and more high impact studies, and then maximize our H index and all the career paths that are connected with our H index. Whether it's a good thing or not, that's a different story. But we can also explore different career paths. So within the research infrastructure, we need much more specialization and competencies, not just being a pure scientists or pure researchers. For example, site managers, coordinators, people working with data, or structural coordinators, like I am, for example. And then looking at career development in the research infrastructure as eLTER, we acknowledge that there are possible worries. First of is that there is this unclear career path that I mentioned. Also, while getting involved in a more like management role, coordination role, there is obviously a worry that we will spend too much time on these management duties that we will not have time to work on our publications, for example, and this is why those career paths might seem less attractive to people who aim to be mostly involved in the academic role and pursuing as the solely academic career. But it is important to highlight that it's not that this publication gap, for example, is certain. We can, if we manage the duties properly, this can actually be the opposite. So if we are getting involved in more studies, then maybe we will not have so much time to work on our own first author paper, but we can be involved in more co-autorships, for example, because we are involved in so many studies. And different perspective to also consider as a positives is that those coordinations role are usually more stable with good salary and more predictable working hours, and we are not so much expected for the mobility. So, for example, usual path in many countries is that after a PhD we have to go somewhere because we should not stay either officially or unofficially in the same research group for our postdoc, and this can be especially difficult for early careers who are, for example, at the same time starting a family and so on. So I will now go briefly through the different areas of the research infrastructure. So there's we have head office, which deals with coordination, strategic development, and outreach. So here we need specialists who deal with the uh, background of the area administration and management that are good with organization skills. And then, of course, there is plenty of job regarding PR, communication, financial expertise, and also the legal issues, for example, concerning the employment law, the tax law, and so on. And that, of course, applies to different countries. Then we have topic centers. And for the topic centers, I will not go too much into too much detail because we will have a separate presentation about topic centers on our SPF meeting in May. But just very briefly, here we need a lot of skills related to data integration, for example, data stewards that I mentioned before, development of technical tools and technical support. Then, mm, yes, then we have the service portal, and then this allows access. This is an access point for users of data and other science and platforms. So here again, we need people with expertise in systems engineering, in database management, web design, and user interface development. And here going to the topic of today's presentation. So this site is definitely more independent from eLTER with less legal bonds to Eric, for example, but jobs here are and will be very much important and also available, such site managers, also technical research infrastructure coordinators at national level. And when we are talking about this, it's important to mention that in the past, eLTER wanted to acknowledge what kind of expectations, fears, and frustrations site coordination, platform coordinations might have. So they created those archetypes or personas to figure out what solutions can eLTER give them to support them. And it was before I joined eLTER, but what we know is that there has been a lot of effort and discussion put into reviewing these questions and different perspectives and into finding potential solutions to validate what should be planned and implemented for those roles. And I will put this link in the chat so you can take a closer look into that. And I think this is my last slide. No, it's not. So I just wanted to close with what eLTER has to offer. So with such a big consortium as eLTER and so many partners involved, we have a great possibility to distribute expertise of people uh, and research sites and platforms. We can encourage staff exchange through mobility schemes, for example, that has been discussed, for example, in Sofia last year on the Early Career and Friends webinar, meeting workshop. Then it can provide training possibilities and, of course, provide employment, especially in the future when we will become an ERIC. And of course, there is a big area for spreading information, and this works both directions. So if a station is looking for a coordinator, this is one way of communicating it for the very big audience. But also if I'm willing to switch my job, then I also as a person have a bigger possibilities to reach potential employers. And I think this was my last slide. Yes, thank you. And we can have questions now, or we can leave it for the Q&A.
Yeah.
Because I've already spent a lot of time
Yeah.
talking. Or
And
you
if
can put them
something
also in the chat.
exactly, thanks. I was gonna say that if you have questions along the way, you can always put them in the chat and we can do our best to answer them. Okay, but yeah, thanks, Paulina, for this overview. I think we'll move on to the other Paulina and her presentation. I just quickly wanted to mention, so Paulina Schislalto works as a station manager in Hytjella. Did I pronounce that okay?
Yes.
This is interesting, in the Smear 2 station, I love the name, in central Finland. And her background is in tree ecophysiology. And more you will hear from herself. Welcome, Paulina.
Thanks a lot. Now I hope you see my shared screen okay. So, as Teresa said, my name is Paula Schistel-Aalto, and I was supposed to introduce my work together with Kira, who also works with eLTER things at our station, but unfortunately, Kira couldn't join today. So I will give an overview of my duties here and something about the site as well to be able to share my duties here. So we are located in central or southern Finland, as you see in the map. We are University of Helsinki site. So the location is about 200 kilometers north from the main university campus. So we are quite far away. So the people who work at the site really work at the site and live in the neighborhood of the site. So of course, there are also a lot of people that work in Helsinki and occasionally come to Hytjälä Smerty station, but the permanent staff, that is 13 of us related to this eLTER site, which is Ecosystem Atmosphere Station. So 13 of us work permanently at the site. So the name SMER2 comes from Station for Measuring Earth Surface Atmosphere Relations. It is located in the Hytjälä forest station, which has kind of a larger forestry aim, and about 26 on-site staff people working, but this kind of part of that is the SMER2 that I am leading leading like practically in the field site here. So the 13 of us consist of research staff, technicians, and then we have 2 persons for societal interaction. And the research staff, we are 5 of us here, but it's really our job titles are something like university researcher or postdoctoral researcher, but it doesn't really mean that any of us does research or first author papers, but we really do practical things and of course help with others writing papers about the data that we are collecting, but not really any of our own research at all, which might be a good thing or might be a bad thing depending on person. For me personally, it's more good than bad. Of course, there are sides. At our station, there are over 1,000 parameters that are measured continuously about soil, trees, and atmosphere, and then the energy and matter fluxes and other interactions between the ecosystem and the atmosphere. The site was established 30 years ago, and it nowadays belongs, in addition to eLTER, it's also ICOS Class 1 ecosystem and atmospheric site, and ACTRIS site, which is for clouds and aerosols and trace gases. And then also we are part of the ANA infrastructure. So we have quite a wide interest in all the aspects of the ecosystem and atmosphere. For eLTER and for also the other infrastructures, our main habitat is forest, and the main measurements are located in a forest stand, but we also have measurements on a lake, which is shown in the photo there, and then in a nearby peatland. There's also a schematic picture of what we are measuring of vegetation, soil, atmosphere, freshwater peatland, and then the fluxes are shown there. And then there are some more photos of our site to give you an overview. Now, all of these, for some reason, I have chosen to be of summertime. We luckily typically have also nice winter periods. For example, now, even though this winter has been really warm and not so nice in that sense, but we have many kinds of permanent infrastructures in the forest and in these other places, many kinds of measurement instruments, either in the outside in the forest or in our measurement cottages, which we have 3 of these wooden cottages, and then we have quite many containers where the instruments and the basic infrastructure have been placed after the wooden cottages have been full of stuff. My background is such that I studied forest ecology in the University of Helsinki, started in 2004. And to forest ecology or forestry studies belongs a period, 1 or 2 summers period, where the students spent time here at the Hytiälä station to do some field courses. And then my husband also studied forest ecology like me, and when we graduated and both started to do our PhD thesis, and then our first son was born in 2010, we didn't anymore want to be in Helsinki, which is a big city, at least when we are talking about Finland, and we wanted to move away from there. So the other option was to work in Hytiälä, which is located in Juupajoki town with about 2,000 inhabitants. So it's a really small village. And we have lived in neighborhood since then, not at the site, but in the neighborhood of the site. And and both of us did our doctoral studies related to the measurements here, but that was really not, we were just kind of working at the site because we didn't want to live in Helsinki, but we did not have kind of very many practical things related to the site, and especially I didn't have. But it was already a really nice period to see and do measurements. It's quite different to perform the measurements and see how the instruments work and what kind of uncertainties there are related to the measurements, to the instrumentation, to the basic infrastructure, and so on, and then use the data compared to using the data without really knowing where it comes from. So I think for my career, it was really valuable. Then I finished my PhD in 2017 about pre-growth drivers. And then I started a postdoc project about growth and carbon use modeling using also isotopic measurements. This was done together with Swedish SLU in Umeå. But then they opened a position in 2021 as a station manager of the site when the previous station manager moved to other position. And then I took that responsibility. So now I'm in practice responsible of the activities at the site. As I said, our site is a really large one. And it was really interesting, the previous site and platforms coordinator meeting in Austria. I guess it was 1.5 years ago, maybe. So it was really interesting to discuss with other coordinators, because I thought, as the sites are really different, also the duties are very different. So I'm kind of overall responsible of the coordination of the maintenance and development of the measurements related to these infrastructures and the basic infrastructure, and supervising the technical staff here working at the site. Also performing campaigns. We have campaigns both from Finland and foreign countries. Groups come here to do campaign work, and then we have quite nice societal interaction with schools and with communities and municipalities and so on. But then one thing that is really different from many other sites is that we mostly have a separate data management team, and those people are located in Helsinki. So I don't really need to deal with the data. So my responsibility ends when the instruments are working, and some data that look somehow, in principle, somehow okay. So that's where my team's responsibility mostly ends. And then there's a separate data management team, and that then transfers the data to suitable places. And maybe the biggest part is the funding part. So I'm not responsible of anyone's salary or the permanent funding of the site or its instruments. And that is a really nice thing. And it was, it's of course, it's a really big thing and it's a difficult thing. And I think it's same for all the sites. And it is really different for the site coordinators, I think. And in that sense, I'm in a really nice position that I don't have to of course, I need to worry about that maybe, but not in practice do very many things for that. So it's a great thing. What I then do during a working day or overall, of course, I think for all people working at any site, the working days are really variable, so it's kind of impossible to build up a typical working day. But as I said, I have the overall responsibility of the activities and supervision of the technical staff, and communication inside and outside, and coordinating these things. It takes most of my time. There's also nicely some field work, which is I really like it a lot. And the best things in working at the field site is that you get your hands on with plants and soil and so on. Not all the time, and maybe not as much as it would be nice, but anyway, at least weekly, I get to really do some field work. And then one of really nice things related to these practical and infrastructure work is that at least for me, I have been able to develop also things that I think are interesting and valuable, such as these societal interactions, and especially related to work with kids. And it's not really my duty, but as I like it and I think it's interesting, I have been able to develop that, and we really have quite extensive school collaboration, and I like it a lot. Then I try to think of some good things and then some challenges. And looking at the other Paulina's presentation, I agree with those that she was showing. So I think those are quite general for people working either at the field site or otherwise related to research infrastructures. So the stable position and less expectations for academic mobility, those are really valuable things for me as well. In the everyday work, the versatility, it's great. I like to do practical work and not just work on the computer. The flexibility of the work, of course, for most research, it's also quite flexible, but maybe it's somehow different, the flexibility related to the field site work. Possibility to develop skills, different kinds of skills, both like programming and really some technical skills. I did not have any really technical skills when I started here, and I don't have such great technical skills even now. But anyway, I understand much more about the instruments and about the practical building things, how the data is logged and so on. So that's nice. And also teamwork is when everything goes well, it's great. That's one of the best sides of the work. But then that's also mentioned in the challenges. So sometimes it might be difficult for doing big things, big instrumentation. Teamwork really is needed, and it's not always as straightforward as working just by oneself. then the resources and their continuity, even though in practice I'm not responsible for that, those then of course those are challenges. Also the continuity of the knowledge, and when people move to other positions, that's a big challenge also, like right now at our site. The isolation, with that I mean that we are located far away from the big research community in our university. And the fragmentation of objectives, as we are a big site, there are groups that are interested in one thing and groups that are interested in another thing, and there are really many things, and somehow we would need to combine all those with limited resources. So that's sometimes really challenging. And of course, related to the research infrastructures like eLTER, ICOS, and Actress, there are many things related to those that are mandatory, and those might not be easy, like getting all of those done. And then also basic infrastructure, electricity, pressured air, network connections, maintenance of the cottages, of the wooden platforms that are located in the forest, doing some snow work in the winter time. It requires quite a lot, and it's quite often overlooked, the time consumption to this basic infrastructure. I wonder if this was, yes, this was my last slide. So if there's time and if someone has a question, I'm happy to answer, or then of course, if you want to ask something in a chat.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Paulina. I think this was a great overview over your daily pleasures and challenges, I guess. We had one question in the chat during your presentation, which the other Paulina started to answer. I don't know if you want to comment on that. Kyle asked how the funding works. Do you see it?
Yes. Yeah, well, it's as the other Paulina said, I think her answer is quite comprehensive. So here we are at the university site. We are funded by university. Of course, there are also other research institutions in Finland, and then the people are funded by those institutions. But yes, that's how it goes here, and it might be really different in other countries.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. If there are no immediate questions from the audience,
Maybe I can still continue that. Yes, we are responsible of some teaching, but it's not that extensive. So I'm giving some lectures during the year, and there's one field course where I'm teaching. So it's actually just quite a nice addition to the work.
Okay. Sander, I think, had another question.
Yes, I have a question. Thank you for your presentation, first of all. My question is, I now understand what kind of work you do on the site, but what extra work do you need to do because you are one of the eLTER sites? That's what I'm wondering, because I can't see it for myself yet.
Yes, well, now going through the observation protocols that are partly finished, there are some measurements that are lacking for our site related to some soil parameters and vegetation composition parameters, and some other, maybe some water parameters. So we need to set up some more samplings and measurements. That's one thing. Then, of course, the data management is one large thing, not my responsibility, but someone's responsibility working for the site. And then after the sampling, also the analysis and so on that needs to be done, that are not produced as a central service from eLTER side. So they are measurements, analysis, and the data management. That something more is needed from our side that is
Okay.
not done currently.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you for your question. But then if there's no other questions right now, if you think of them later, just post them in the chat. But then I think we will move on to our second speakers. And here we have Elena Todorova. I hope I pronounce this correct. She's a senior assistant at the Forest Research Institute at the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences since 2023. And she's working at the Parangalitsa site, focused on socio-ecological research. And then we also have Sasha Hellman Hansen. She is currently working as a research coordinator in the section Forest and Landscape Ecology at the University of Copenhagen. And she works with applied ecosystem ecology in forests and open land. And she tries to squeeze lichens into everything she does. I sense you're interested in lichens. Exactly. So welcome. I will share your presentation for you. And I hope you see it in presentation mode now.
Yeah, the presentation is here. Thank you. Thank you so much, Teresa, and thanks to Paulina and Paulina. Great presentations. I'm really grateful that we can share some insights and some words on our early career and friends community today. I think it's a great place to do it since the workshop is very well targeted in this way. First, I would like to say that this is a very open group. And I would like to share in the chat right now, maybe a link to the place where you can join the group. I can see some of the members actually here. Can we move to our next slide? Just to see some of the faces of these people that constitute this group. Actually, those are young researchers joined a few years ago or recently, and we have gathered together to just communicate easily, to connect, to make some networks, to share opportunities, and to make this flow of information easier, because sometimes, you know, for a young researcher, it's very difficult to find his path, especially in such a complex network as eLTER. So can we move to the next slide again? I actually shared this group like 2 years ago, and I remember that we had this meeting in Frankfurt, and I was so new and fresh and shy. And actually, this group was my great entrance point to eLTER because they were eager to answer all my questions. They had this great energy. They also had these great organized workshops and networking opportunities that made me feel at home and made me integrate better in this environment. So it is great when you are young and you are looking for your way to be welcomed in this way. And actually, the group doesn't have any criteria. Everybody is really welcome, and it is early careers and friends. Just because you don't really have to be only early career, and you don't have to be a researcher. We also have people that are dealing with more administrative questions, and they're also welcome because opportunities must be shared on different level and among different people. And actually, one of these opportunity was throughout the years was this workshop that we made in Gran Paradiso site in Italy. And on the slides there are some photos from there, and you can see how great atmosphere we had. There were people, scientists from so many different backgrounds and spheres, and we were there together to communicate, to share ideas, and we actually got to work together, and we saw that it's working out really great, and we had some amazing synergy over there. So I think this is one of the great things you can get from this kind of networking activities. So now I will give the word to Sasha, and she can also share her experience from and ideas when entering eLTER.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great, because I've been having lots of fun problems with my audio. I have just one slide, I think, if Teresa will change slide. Thank you. Yeah, I am fairly new to eLTER. I think I stepped into this sphere that is eLTER about a year ago. I think it was last January. And eLTER is a jungle. So I was very confused, and there's lots and lots of abbreviations, right, in the Strillis, and a lot of like very inside terminology and things that you just only know if you've been around for a long, good while, right? So I stepped in to assist Inga, my boss, who is the national coordinator here in Denmark. And the learning curve was steep. But she told me about the Early Career and Friends group, and she heavily encouraged me to join it. I guess she'd seen how much fun they'd been having. And then I met a few from the group in Sofia last year, and it became so much more tangible, and you have suddenly a bunch of people to ask on a more, I mean, I was a bit intimidated to just ask in even just this group, the SPF, but if you sit at the national coordinators meeting, you know, this big community, it seems so bombastic and it's a bit intimidating. So it was really, really nice, kind of like a savior to just have this group of people that are, you know, at the same career stage as you and maybe even working in the same area, and you can share your ideas and your experiences and use it to extend your professional network. And it's just knowing that there's someone out there who are kind of at the same stage as you, so you can ask on a more level, yeah, way, so it's not so intimidating. Yeah. So basically, that's kind of pretty much the same as Lena just said, but I can confirm that she's right because I'm completely new and this has been my experience as well. So I highly encourage everyone to join. Oh,
Great.
yeah, I
Thanks.
think
Thanks,
Lena has a
Sasha.
finishing slide.
Um,
So nice to be with you in this. And it was so nice to meet you last year in Sofia. I think you have great energy and you're the right person to be in this group because we need this kind of energy. Yeah. So yeah, we can move to the last slide now because it is a very important slide. This is what we are up to now, and it's the eLTER Science Conference 2025. You know, these kind of events are actually where we are most activated because that's when we meet in person and we actually have the real opportunity to interact in different ways. And the science conference is really such an important event, and we are putting a lot of efforts just to make all kind of interactions for the early career, so that, as me and Sasha already shared, you can just jump into eLTER and don't be afraid to do it. So what we have planned for now is a workshop which is dedicated especially for early careers and friends. And we are going to have a mentor there who is going to share his experience, and I think it's going to be a very, very interesting. We are still organizing it, and we'll put a lot of efforts so that it is really something working and great. And we'll have these interactive activities for all the freshmen in eLTER so that we can really get to know each other in an informal situations. And we are also going to have this social event so that we can grab a drink or something, just have fun, talk to each other, and so that everybody is easily recognized. We are going to have maybe these stickers showing that you're an early career. We are going to have a post board when you can go and ask your questions and know how to get into this thing. And if you have registered for the conference as an early career, you are also going to have a preference fee, and you are going to be in our Signal group so that this can make communication easier. So yeah, things are still under organization, but the ideas and energies are there. So I believe it's going to be great event. So yeah,